Hello crochet crafters, today we're going to make this holiday ornament or applique for card, and we're going to use a red, green, and white acrylic yarn, and I'm using a size 7 for demonstration purposes, but if you want to use a size 6 hook, that's fine. Whatever size you want, just remember whatever size hook you use, it's going to be smaller or larger depending on the hook size. So go ahead and chain 11. If you don't know how to get your yarn onto your hook and chain 11, I do have some videos at Lori's Handiwork on YouTube, which you can look at first to get where we're at with this. But after you've chained the 11, I want you to go back into the first stitch you've created, and I want you to wrap your yarn around it, and I want you to slip stitch through. So after you've slip stitched through, this is going to be your base to start with. Now, we're not going to be working into the stitches. We're going to be working around the stitches, around. And we're going to be putting 30 single crochets around that. So when we work it, we're going to go around and pull it this way. But I'm going to show you a little trick to get rid of that tail. I'm going to hold that tail behind this yarn, and as I'm working around doing my first stitch, I'm working that tail right into that so that it's going to get rid of that tail. You see how I did that? I'm holding that tail right here, and I'm working around that tail. So it's just going to be part of those stitches. It's kind of like part of that chain. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to do 30 of these. 5. So it's single crochets all the way around your chains. So you're not working in the crochets, you're working around them. And if you have a little bit of piece of your tail left, you can always cut it off. See, I have a little bit there? But that's a really easy way to get rid of it without having to sew it back in. And as you go around, if you find that it's taking up all of the space, you just grab your chain and you push it. And it'll make it tighter, and that's what makes that nice tight wreath. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 slipped. 13, go ahead and do 30. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, I'm going to have to push it a little bit. 26, 27, 29, and 30. So after the 30s, yours should look something like this. And if you've worked your tail in, you might have a little piece of straggly. And I'm one of these people, it bothers me to have a little straggly, so I'm going to get rid of it. So after you've done your 30, what you want to do is you want to go into the first stitch you created, and you're going to slip stitch, and you're going to close the chain. So if you see that first stitch that you created, just slip stitch. Ta-da! And you've closed the chain. So it looks something like that. This is a little bit different yarn that I'm using. So what we're going to do now is, with those 30 chains, we're going to do a nice double crochet. So to do a nice double crochet, you wrap it around the first, and you're going to go through the back and the front loop of the next one. And as you do it, you're going to wrap it around and pull it through the first 2. Wrap it around and pull it through the next 2. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the double crochets all the way around in the back and the front loop. My yarn is a little, should look something like that. And when you've done all of your double crochets all the way around, you can meet me back and you're going to slip stitch and kind of put it together again. Now just remember, folks, this is a little bit different than the one slipping a little bit. This yarn is very sticky today. The thing that to remember about this is that I'm not using a wooden middle, so I had to create my own chain, because to me, you know what it is? Buying at the craft store a bunch of wooden middles and paying an extra $10 to create things is like wasted money. So I always try to come up with crafts where you don't, 10 chains underneath there is nothing, right? But if you have to buy a wooden middle to go in this, because this has got a wooden middle, then you have to buy a bunch of them. And the last time I went to I'm not even going to say what store it was, but I went to there and I went to get some and I went, holy cow, $9.99 for a bunch of wooden middles. Forget it. So I'm trying to create ornaments for you that you can give as gifts that are not going to break the bank. And you can buy this Super Saver Red Heart yarn. I love this Super Saver Red Heart yarn because you can get a great big thing of green, a great big thing of red, and you can probably make about 100 of these if you do it right. So you probably can give these out as gifts. You know what else they'd be fun? To put them on packages. That would be a lot of fun. And you could actually use a little ribbon or something if you had something left over. I like using scraps. So these are all, I'm around the whole thing with my double crochets. I'm going into my last double crochet. So here I am. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back into that first one that I created and I'm going to slip stitch. So once you've slip stitched, you should have something that looks like that. It's so perfect and so pretty. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch. So you can see we're switching. See, we're right about there. And we're switching to create this beautiful little white border. So I'm going to grab my white yarn. And I think what I'll do is I will just cut my green maybe right here, because what I will do is I will take my plastic crochet needle and I'll work this green back in afterwards. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and go into that next front and back loop of that crochet, okay? And then I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to slip it on the back, just wrap it around the back of the crochet hook like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it through both, just like a slip stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain one. So that's how you get that on. And you can pull that green yarn a little tight. So you basically, you've just got your yarn on your crochet hook. Now, I've got my tail kind of in there. This is supposed to be one piece. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet right in there. Fun, single crochet. And then we're going to do 1, and 2 and 3 chains. And then we're going to go back in there and do a single crochet. And that gives it that little, and then the next one, we're just going to skip, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go in and do a single crochet in the next one, 1 and 2 and 3 chains, and we're going to go back into that one and do a single crochet, and then we're going to skip the next one, and we're going to chain 1, and we're skipping that one, and we're going into that one, and we're doing a single crochet, and we're chaining 1, 2 and 3, and then the same one again, we're going to go in and do a single crochet, and we're skipping that next one, and then we're going to go in and do a single, so we're skipping one every time we go in, and then we're doing a single crochet and 3 chains, and then in the same stitch we're doing a single crochet, and it makes for just a wonderful Christmas decoration. And then we're skipping that next one, and then we're going in and we're doing a single crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, and in the same front and back loop we're doing a single crochet, we're skipping 1, going into the next, doing a single crochet, chaining 1 and 2 and 3, and going back into the same place and doing a single crochet, skipping the next one, going into that one, doing a single crochet, 1 and 2 and 3, and going back into that single crochet, skipping the next one, single crochet, and 1 and 2, 3 chains, single crochet in the same stitch, skipping the next one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, single crochet in the same stitch, skipping 1, going into the next one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, going back into the same stitch, skipping the next one, going into the next stitch, chaining 3, going into the same stitch, skipping the next one, going into the next one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, single crochet in the same stitch, skipping the next one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, going into the same stitch, skipping the next one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, going into the same stitch, skipping the next one, going into the next stitch, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, single crochet in the next stitch, and you should be back to where you started. Now, when you go into, I always say skip that next stitch, so you're going to skip that, but when you go into that, you're going to slip stitch, so you go into where you started with that first single crochet. I don't think I can get it in there. There we go. And whoops, you want to get it into the white, the first one that you created, and slip stitch it. And so what this is going to be right here, that's going to be where you put your hook. So however big you want your hook on your package, or if you're doing an applique for a card, obviously you're not going to add a hook, but I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to chain 8, 7, and 8. And again, if you want a really long hook, you can do a long hook. So maybe let's do 10, 9, and 10. 10 might be a little bit better. So then I've got a hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the same place I was, and then I'm going to slip stitch. So I have my hook, and what I'll do is I'm going to cut the yarn off, and when I take my, I'm going to pull it through, and you see, so in other words, this isn't really big. This other one was just a plain long hook here. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be a little bit, so I'm going to use this pink plastic needle and work all of this back in to my piece. If you don't know how to work them back in, I have several videos on how to work your stitches back into the ones you've already done so that they don't come loose or jar loose. There's a little bit of a technique to doing it. It's not difficult, but you just want to make sure that you do it in 3 different ways: frontwards, backward, front, side to side, so then you can cut this off without having an issue. So I'm going to the back. Go tie that a little bit. And, as long as it doesn't show and that you don't have a big gap there. Now, if you notice, my back of my decoration looks just as nice as the front. And I think that's important. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you guys a little secret. I did this one years ago. This is old. And look at what I made. Oh, that's such a gobbledygook. I hate it. I hate it. So I've learned through time that the front should look as nice as the back. And I'll show you how to do that, because you don't have to make those little holly berries, because that's what we're doing, right? We're making a wreath with some holly berry. And when you put that on, use a thinner yarn. Isn't that awesome? Use a 2-ply instead of like a 4-ply, right? And when you use a yarn like that, you can literally just wherever you want to place it. Like say you want 6, okay? All you have to do is start like wherever you want to put the holly berry, okay? And when you pull it back through, just go like this and knot it from the front. So as you're creating that holly berry, you're just knotting it from the front. What was I, stupid, I guess. Look, I'm not even touching the back, and I'm just adding the little holly berry fruit as I'm going. And I'm just working it through. So as I'm doing that, I can even do that. And you know what else you could put on there too, is you could tie like a little, if you wanted to add little bells, you could actually tie little bells on there. These are not the right scissors, by the way. My craft scissors are in my other box. I couldn't find them. So I'm using these. There's something here. Some white yarn or something. So what I wanted to show you is you're going to go around and you can maybe place, I probably will put one here, maybe 6 of those all the way around. And I don't know what I was thinking. Look at, I sewed all this around and it looks terrible. And look at that. That looks beautiful. So you can just tell what a novice I was. But let me go ahead and work. Let me go ahead and work this green in. And if you're done with me and you want to go off and try this on your own, you can. I'm just going to finish off my work and I'm going to show you. Make sure you go to the side. And then you go to the side. the other side, and then you do what? You go down. And if you want, you can go 4 ways. Then you can go back up through another loop and back up. And the reason you sew side, side, down, and up is so you don't have to tie like I just did with the white. That way you don't have to tie anything, and it's completely secure. So there you go, folks. That's the newfound wreath with hollyberry and no problems in the back. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you follow me on Lori's Handiwork. Happy holidays, and I will see you all here soon.